Today at FullOnDrums.com, it's all about Jason Harnell. We are here today playing some jazz with Jason Harnell. Jason, thanks for being here today.
My pleasure, Charlie.
Awesome. Now, before we get started, can we get a little bit of history? Can you tell us about yourself?
I would love to. Let's see. I guess I should probably start back in 1976. I was very fortunate. My father was doing a lot of work with the great legendary jazz drummer Louie Bellson at the time. My father was the musical director for Pearl Bailey, who was at the time married to Louie Bellson. And I had started drumming and gotten, rather into it at a very young age. And my father actually was telling Louie Bellson, hey, you got to come hear this 6-year-old kid. My son's playing great, and kept on about this. And finally, Louie was like, all right, let me come hear this guy. I want to check it out. And so July 14th, 1976, Louie Bellson shows up at my house. I was a 6-year-old boy, aspiring drummer, and there's Louie Bellson in my living room, and his brother Hank, who's also a great drummer, was present. They set up the drum set in my living room, and Louie proceeded to play like a 15-minute long drum solo just for me, and that was the beginning of it. Louie handed me the sticks when he was done and said, now let me hear you, and I got up there as a 6-year-old kid and tried to make music. I could barely reach the pedals and did whatever it was I could do, and Louie looked at me and said, man, you sound great. Would you like to have that set of drums, And of course said yes, and that was the beginning of a life in music, I guess, for me. I've studied with a lot of the great drummers over my life, and began playing professionally at the age of 11.
Wow.
Started teaching professionally at age 15, and moved out to Los Angeles in 1990, got a gig with Maynard Ferguson in 1992, and was fortunate enough to tour around the world with him for a couple of years and record an album. And as the rest, as they say, is history.
Nice, yeah. Nice. All right, well, cool. You've got a pretty unique setup here with you today. Can you tell us about it?
Of course, I'd love to. Let's talk about the drums. First of all, these are the Yamaha Maple Customs. Same drums I've been playing for, wow, over 20 years now. I believe I got these drums from Yamaha in the early 90s, and I've been playing them ever since. The sizes are 14-inch floor tom, 12-inch rack tom, 18 by 14-inch bass drum, little tiny bass drum.
Has a killer low end, though.
It does. Thank you, Charlie. The cymbals, I play Istanbul Cymbals, and this guy right here is my newest acquisition. It's a beautiful 30th anniversary Istanbul ride cymbal. I also play Vic Firth sticks and Remo heads.
Now, tuning-wise, this is nowadays in most pop music, we hear these big, low, thuddy drums, or they've got lots of samples. We're tuning the sizes are different, but it's a whole different area. Can you tell us about the tuning, starting with the kick?
Of course, yeah, I'd be happy to. My concept with the drum set is melodic in nature, so I generally try to tune to pitches, although I don't tune using a piano keyboard. I have a general idea of the pitch that I want, and I tune accordingly. I go back and forth with the bass drum. The bass drum is a little lower right now than I play with it sometimes. Sometimes I crank it up a little higher. Generally speaking, I usually play with the batter side of the bass drum slightly higher the front head slightly higher than the batter side. And there's no muffling in the bass drum either. It's wide open. I just have a little secret muffling method where I just tuck a little rag between the post of the bass drum pedal and the head, and then use a little duct tape to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. And that cuts a little bit of the ring out, and off you go. The keyboardist joining us was my good friend Joe Bagg, one of the preeminent jazz organists on the West Coast, and also an amazing pianist as well. And Joe and I have played together a lot over the last 15 years or so. We're in a lot of different bands together, and he's joining me. And the song is one that I wrote called "Fat and Sassy" is the name of it. I got a little help from my good friend Jamie Rosen with some of the chordal input on the tune. But it's a tune that I've written, I wrote about 5 years ago, I guess, and it appears on a couple of records. It appears on, I'm in a band called Joeless Shoe, which actually does not have Joe in it. That's why it's called Joeless Shoe, as a matter of fact. Check out the band at joelessshoe.com. But on the most recent Joeless Shoe album, entitled Outsole, we play Fat and Sassy. So you can hear it there, and it's actually going to be on an upcoming album that I have coming out with the great keyboardist, pianist from the band Kneebody, Adam Benjamin. Adam Benjamin and I have a duo project that we call Go Shlomo. And that's going to be coming out later this year, and Fat and Sassy's on that record as well. Yeah.
Let me tell you guys, I'm in the know here and got to go to the sound check. You're in for a treat. Shall we get to it? Let's talk about the mics a little bit.
Let's do it.
Our goal today is to get an open, natural hi-fi sound of the drums in the room, so we're only using 3 mics. For overheads, we have a pair of Mojave Audio MA300 Tube mics. The MA300s have a great combination of fidelity and warm tubey goodness. There's no pad, no roll-off, and we have them set to cardioid. On the kick, we have a Mojave Audio MA301 FET. It's set to cardioid with no pad or roll-off, and it's about 6 inches away from the center of the drum. All the mics are going through the Toft ATB console with no EQ or outboard processing. huge thanks to Jason Harnell and Joe Bagg for being with us today. Man, you guys sounded great. Absolutely killed it. Be sure to go to jasonharnell.com and joebagg.com for more information on their upcoming gigs and recordings. And go to fullondrums.com where you can download the full bandwidth multi-track audio files of everything you've just heard. And check out past episodes, interviews, articles, news, and reviews from around the drumosphere. So until next time, you know the drill. Keep it on 10.